Have you ever seen a movie or wanted to be in a movie? Let's say that you were asked to be an actor, and the part you play, you're hearing voices from within your mind. You know, voices that are telling you to kill yourself, that they're no good. But then when the scene's over, you can't shut those voices off. Or let's say you're asked to be in a movie and play the part of a person with severe depression. And you say, well, okay, I'll do it because, you know, it's a movie. But then what happens if when the movie's over, you're still depressed? And that's what happens in real life. People that have those experiences, they have a mental illness. That's what this presentation is about. I'd like to quote Richard Carmona. He was the United States Surgeon General in 2006. And what he said is that it's really rare for a family not to have a relative that has a mental illness. So this is what I'm getting at. The purpose of my presentation is I'd like to encourage and get people that are relatives of people with mental illnesses to engage in their treatment, because the way things stand today, nowadays, especially in the state of Arizona, there's a lot of services lacking. And I'm going to use the sources, the National Institute of Mental Health. That's the top federal agency that oversees mental health in this country and sets policies. There's three main areas of focus that I've derived that I see that are real important is from the National Institute of Mental Health in the treatment of people with mental illnesses. Number one is the medications they get. And then number two is the support staff that they interact with that. And it's usually a traditional treatment team, that being composed of their psychiatrist, the nurse, and their case manager, or call it a clinician. And then the third is a major factor in the treatment of people with mental illnesses and it's a real ongoing thing, it's the budget constraints that these agencies have that treat and serve society's needs in dealing with people with mental health issues. And I'll go over the medications and I'll get a little bit more specific on the meds because to begin with, let's say you have the mental illness called schizophrenia, where reality is distorted and you hear voices that really aren't there. They're internal. They're produced from damage to the brain or whatever. And then we can talk about people with depression. The meds that they get have some fairly powerful side effects. If you're taking antidepressants, you can have problems urinating. Your sex drive can disappear. You can break out in sweats. If you're a schizophrenic, which is one of the major illnesses, you compromise yourself because the medication you take causes you to have lack of control over muscular movements. And you can get jitters, you can get facial twitches. And people that take antipsychotic medication for schizophrenia, they're usually increase their drinking of soft drinks a lot, which causes a lot of health problems. So that's medication. And then the second one I mentioned is support staff. The support staff, the psychiatrist, he will evaluate the person with a mental illness. But the way the system is based, it's a lot medication oriented. He asks a standard number of questions to people, and then he just checks off, and from there, you're prescribed your medication. And it is kind of an assembly line process. The nurse, the part she plays is, she makes sure that if you need to get a shot, she'll document that. If you're the patient, you let her know of the symptoms, the side effects, etc. The case manager, he plays the part he plays more the human part. You go, if you're a person with a mental health illness, you go and speak to him about your problems, your wants, your desires, which usually covers where you're going to live, how your medications are working, if you want to try to go to school, if you're going to try to get job training. It entails all your day-to-day living. skills, wants. It covers like how to spend your money. But being that the system is really broken, I really think that it's a strong consideration in the well-being of people with mental illnesses. For a family member, let's say you have an uncle, an aunt, a mother, a father, a brother, or a sister. It's such a nightmare to be mentally ill. The things they want to do, people, they see people on the street, they say, that bum, and here he is talking to himself. People with a mental illness don't want to be that way. And they're real open to getting help, but there's not that much help to go around. And it's been, over the years, people have seen how important it is for family members to engage in the treatment of a relative with a mental illness. And another reason being is that you can see how broken down the system is. I've worked in hospitals where I noticed that people that were never visited from the outside, they're the ones that were probably taken down and put in 4 points for so-called disciplinary reasons. I've seen them injected with an over amount of tranquilizers to keep them sedated to where they don't move. And so if you have a relative, it's just satisfying one of the basic needs for a human, that basic needs to shelter, to human dignity, and all that. Right now, the mental health system, where they house a lot of the adult population, they're overcrowded, there's substance abuse, there's violence. And I can just quote a really bright and good-hearted client of mine. He was 21 and he kept escaping from this boarding home right by Reed Park. And when the psychiatrist asked him why aren't you part of the system? Why do you keep running away and screwing everything up for everybody? He says, because I'm around a bunch of crazy people and I want to be where I can have some peace and quiet. So what I'm suggesting is that because it's a basic thing in human beings, that we work well by helping people. When we help people, we help ourselves. And you see people that are mental health patients, you see them with a bunch of anger and frustration because of what they're in and how society perceives them. Well, I'd like you to help turn that anger around into a feeling of triumph and success for these people. And so I'm asking you all to take action by, finding out who the relative in your family sees, the agency they see, call them up, and by law, it's written in the state code. It's the treatment that actually family members have a legal right to participate in the treatment of people with mental illnesses. And so I'm going to finish with this, is that in this society there's all kinds of champions. And the word champion it's spread very thinly and cheaply. And there are all kinds of legitimate champions. But I think at the end of the day, a person that helps another person in need, to help that person reach their dreams, to help them reach stability and a better life, I think that person improves their life, and I think that person is a real champion. And I want to thank you all for being here.